Hello, I am your everyday average Jonathan. Join me this week as I turn these pieces of metal into this, a request from my youngest daughter for a shooting heart. Hello, I am your everyday average Jonathan. I'm an ordinary guy with ordinary tools making extraordinary items. I'm a self-taught craftsman. I'm an amateur blacksmith and a novice woodworker. The items that I make each week tend to be whimsical in nature, fantastical, echoing times of a forgotten yore, if you will. Items like weapons and armor, structures, novelties, practical items that I use on my ranch here in Colorado. Well, of late, it seems that I have been making a lot of what I would call more artistic items, less useful items, or for me, less crazy cool items. And when I say crazy cool, I mean things like weapons and armor. Well, unfortunately for me, this week will be no different than the past weeks. This week, I was supposed to be making a rock fort, a rock tower for my girls to play in, a play structure. But given that you see this heavy fog and this heavy rain, which is a real blessing given that we're in a drought and there's some fires nearby us, but it doesn't make for using mortar or using cement when it's raining on you the entire time. So we're gonna pivot a little bit. 2 weeks ago, I made a windblown tree, a very stylized windblown tree for my eldest daughter. She's 8 years old, she's afraid of the wind. So I made her a stylized tree as a form of exposure therapy, if you will. I'm not so certain that it worked, but she seems to like it. But after I made that and delivered it to her, my youngest daughter came roaring into the picture and said, "Daddy, what are you gonna make me?" And so I pivoted adroitly and I said to her, "What would you like for me to make you?" And she said, "Ooh, I want you to make me a shooting star, but not a star, a shooting heart." And when she said that, I got images of My Little Pony, of Care Bears, of Winnie the Pooh, and all sorts of overly saccharine things. My mind even got a cavity in the process. But I think I came up with a way that I can make something for her that she'll probably really like. So without further ado, we're at the shop. Let's go in and get started. If you follow any of my videos, you know that I tend to doodle when I'm at church. I do pay attention, as I always say, but I do make sketches, ideas come to me, my mind does wander from time to time. And so the beginning of this, the centerpiece of this, was just going to be a stylized heart that was going to look as though it was wind blown, it was moving, it was in motion. I hope to capture that. And then I had these 1/4-inch steel rods from other projects that I've done, which you can see in my other videos, a cross, a windblown tree, some other things. And all I was going to do is really just to craft that center heart. And then once it was done, then I could base everything else off of it. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just bending these a little bit and getting the first center heart piece formed. And then I'm going to make a second and even a third shell or form around that heart. And from that, it'll get gradually more round, a little bit more ovular. A trademark that I often do is I often will copper impregnate some of the steel that I'm looking at. It tends to give it almost a golden look to it once it's done. I was definitely going to do that with this piece, get that heart that was very copper coated and then shine it up really well. It would be the only thing that I copper coat. This right here is a 3/8 inch square piece of metal. It was going to act as the perimeter, the outermost ring or semi ring. I was going to twist it sort of in random ways. There wasn't going to be any actual evenness to the twists. I just wanted it to have some sort of character because it was going to border and frame the rest of the streams coming off of this shooting heart. And now, as you see here, I'm prepping this heart. I'm getting it red hot. I put some borax, some flux on it, put it back in, get it nice and red hot. And then I will wind a piece of copper wire around it. And that's what's going to make it impregnated. Once I wind the copper wire around, I put a little bit more borax on there, put it back in the forge, get it red hot until the copper completely melts. And then this is what you have. Red hot piece of steel with impregnated copper in it. It's going to be very dark, very crusty before I hit it with this wire wheel. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go ahead and get all of those crusts, all of that scale, that mill scale off of it. And the end product is a very, very shiny, beautiful piece of steel. It has weight to it, but yet it has that copper impregnation as well. So here's the outermost border, and now I'm going to start making, I'm just going to call them the streamers, the other pieces that come off of it. There's going to be a little bit of forming here. You see that I'm using my drill press as the backdrop to pull it around. It worked out pretty well. This is the second ring of the heart, and then each one's going to get a little bit less heart shape and a little bit more just half round as it winds its way around the heart. These are all the pieces put together. They're not yet welded, but that's just how it's going to look. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get them set up in the orientation that I want them and go ahead and tack weld them all together. This is actually really fun. It was just super fast welding. It didn't need to be clean because this is the back side of the piece. And then I was just going to make sure that it was as shiny as I could possibly get it, clean up the welds just a little bit. And then I put electrical tape on there, and my daughter is fairly gaudy or garish in her tastes, as most young girls are. And I'm just going to go ahead and hit that with a real metallic silver spray paint, and this is what the final product will look like. I was going to put a bracket on it at the back, and I decided to bring my youngest in. There's her Doritos. I was going to bring my youngest in to help me with it, and then I realized she's going to bop herself right in the face the way she's swinging that. So, whoa, 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 young lady, hold up. There we go. That's a better grip. I would be tickled pink if either of my daughters or both of them had any crafting, any blacksmithing or woodworking in their future, just based on the things that they've seen me do. They love it when I include them in some of the build projects. So just attaching that bracket, and then basically it's ready to go. It's done. So off we go back to her room. We're going to find a great place for her to mount it. This is the final product. I like it. It was very simple. It accomplished what I wanted it to. I think that she will like it. She wanted it mounted on the bottom bunk, which is hers. And here it is. You can see that she can see it during the night. She has some starry lamp. I'll just call it a lamp. And so we fired that up, put it on a wall. I put a flashlight on it to give it a little bit of interesting sheen to it. And she really did dig that. She really thought that was cool.
Thank you for joining me for that build. That was really simple, really straightforward, and kind of like the windblown tree that I made for my oldest daughter. When I gave this to my youngest daughter, it was hard to tell if she liked it or not. I think the moment with expectation potentially on her, she just sort of clammed up and acted as though it wasn't something super impressive, but that's kids for you. As I noted earlier on, I am getting to the point where some of these builds of artistic things are getting a little bit old for me. I need things with more spikes and more teeth and more gnarl to them. But admittedly, I don't have any real weapons or armors planned for the next few builds that I'm gonna do. So hopefully you can be patient with me and I'll be patient with myself. Join me next week. My mother has come to visit from her home in Arkansas, and it is her birthday. And she asked that we work on a project together and we do something together. And she came with an idea, which is going to be another tree made out of wood, semi-intarsia. So we'll see how that turns out. If you like builds like this that are whimsical, fantastical, eccentrically artistic, check out my channel for other projects I take on where I make things that are sometimes a departure, sometimes straightforward, sometimes practical, sometimes purely for fun. Anyhow, thank you for joining me this week. Until next week, God bless. We'll see you soon.